O Saint Anthony, faithful servant of the Lord and protector of those in distress, we come to you today with hearts wide open, seeking divine relief. You who have stood by the lost and broken, who have brought light into the darkest corners of despair. Please hear us now. We call upon your sacred name, asking you to intercede for each soul praying this urgent miracle prayer to Saint Anthony, for you are known as the wonder worker, the patron of the impossible, the voice for the voiceless. In this sacred moment, we place our most desperate needs at your feet. We know that nothing is ever truly lost when we trust in your powerful intercession. Whether we seek a healing prayer to Saint Anthony, an emergency prayer for financial help, or the miracle prayer today that will change everything, we know you are listening. We believe that even now, unseen blessings are being prepared. Stay with us through every word, for something deeply important is about to be revealed. Saint Anthony, we call upon your mercy with trembling voices and hopeful hearts. You who once held the infant Jesus in your arms, hold us now in your embrace. Look with compassion upon the broken dreams, the crushing debts, the shattered relationships brought before you in this prayer to Saint Anthony. We are not here by chance. We are here because heaven has led us to your intercession. This is a miraculous prayer to Saint Anthony, and it carries power beyond what our eyes can see. Let every listener feel that this prayer works instantly, because it does. For the mother praying for her child's healing, for the father desperate for a financial breakthrough, for the lonely soul aching for peace. Saint Anthony, intervene now. Let this unfailing prayer to Saint Anthony awaken a storm of miracles. Let debts be paid, jobs be restored, lost things be found, and tears be turned into testimonies. You are the saint of the impossible, and there is no request too great, no heart too far gone. Wrap your heavenly presence around those who are listening, because something sacred is unfolding. And to you, dear listener, do not stop now. There is something vital you must hear before this prayer ends. The breakthrough you're longing for may be just one moment of faith away. Stay connected, because God still moves. And this prayer could be the moment everything changes. Don't scroll away. Don't give up. For when Saint Anthony is called upon with faith, miracles follow. There's more to come, and the next words may be the very answer you've been crying for. When all seems lost, a miracle begins. There are moments when life seems to collapse under the weight of unanswered prayers. Bills pile up, health declines, relationships fall apart. You look around and wonder, where is God in all this? But in those moments, something divine begins to stir. That's when the most powerful prayer to St. Anthony comes alive, not just in words, but in how it pulls heaven closer to earth. When everything feels lost, you're actually standing at the doorstep of something extraordinary. Saint Anthony was no stranger to the cries of desperation. People sought him out with impossible requests, and somehow, time and time again, he delivered miracles. Not because he had magic, but because his faith unlocked the supernatural. That's why praying this miracle prayer today carries so much weight. You're not just whispering into the void, you're reaching into heaven through one of its most powerful intercessors. And heaven always answers. Maybe you've been praying for years, hoping for a sign. Maybe this video found you at your lowest point. That's no accident. Saint Anthony prayer is known to move quickly, especially for the faithful who won't give up. This isn't about deserving a miracle. It's about believing in one. Because when you speak the words of the prayer to St. Anthony for urgent help, something shifts. You're no longer alone. You're no longer forgotten. One woman once prayed this prayer at midnight, crying silently in a hospital hallway. Her mother was in surgery, the prognosis bleak. She said this prayer that works instantly, and within 24 hours the doctors were stunned. Her mother recovered. Was it luck, or was it a miracle sparked by faith in the right moment? St. Anthony doesn't need perfect conditions to move. He just needs your trust. This prayer has opened doors for the unemployed, brought peace to divided families, and guided people through devastating loss. It's not a formula, it's a lifeline. If you're battling fear, speak this powerful Catholic miracle prayer aloud. If you're broke, weary or confused, whisper this emergency prayer for financial help and watch what happens. The transformation begins when you let go of control and allow St. Anthony to work through grace. He is known as the finder of lost things, but he's also the saint of found miracles, lost time, lost love, lost dreams. He restores what was stolen. And for every listener here, St. Anthony sees not only your suffering, but your faith. He doesn't turn away from tears. He leans in. That's why this prayer for desperate cases isn't just another video. It's a holy appointment set by heaven for your breakthrough to begin. Perhaps you've said 1,000 prayers and nothing changed. But this one, this unfailing prayer to St. Anthony, is different. Why? Because it aligns with surrender. You're not begging anymore, you're believing. There's a holy shift that happens when you stop demanding and start trusting. It's subtle at first, but then the breakthrough shows up in places you'd least expect. A phone call, a promotion, an inner peace that makes no sense. Saint Anthony, in his life, walked closely with the poor and broken. He wasn't a distant saint with clean robes and lofty words. He got involved, he still does. When you say this healing prayer to Saint Anthony, know that you're not praying to a statue or a symbol. You're calling on a friend who has been entrusted by heaven to carry miracles into the lives of ordinary people like you and me. There was a man who had lost everything: job, savings, marriage. He was at the end of his rope, scrolling through his phone when this prayer appeared. He stopped, listened, prayed. Within 1 week, his estranged wife contacted him. His job application was approved, and a debt he forgot existed was forgiven. Coincidence, or the work of Saint Anthony responding to a cry from the heart? God uses moments like this, right now, to rewrite stories. You're not too far gone. It's not too late. The very fact that you're hearing these words means heaven is already near. The holy prayer for impossible requests works not because you're worthy, but because God is merciful. Saint Anthony is simply the messenger, the bridge between your pain and God's promise. So breathe in this moment. Let hope stir. Let faith rise, speak the words, feel the connection. This isn't just a prayer, it's a turning point. And as you continue to the next mystery, you'll begin to understand why this journey with St. Anthony isn't just about miracles. It's about transformation. When you feel forgotten, heaven remembers you. How many times have you helped others, stayed strong, remained faithful, only to feel invisible when your own need came? It's in those moments of silence that many give up. But here's the truth. When you feel most forgotten, heaven is preparing something just for you. Saint Anthony is known to answer the quietest, loneliest prayers. And right now, by saying this prayer to Saint Anthony for urgent help, you're reminding the heavens that you still believe. We serve a God who sees in secret and rewards in public. Saint Anthony carries those secret petitions and whispers them before the throne of grace. So if you've been praying for restoration in your family, strength for your children, or even just clarity about what to do next, you're in the right place. Prayer to St. Anthony for family restoration has touched broken households and made them whole again. Yours can be next. There was a mother who had not spoken to her daughter in over 5 years. Bitterness, pride, pain. She found this Catholic prayer for miracles one night and prayed it with tears in her eyes. The very next morning, her daughter called. Apologies were exchanged. Healing began. It wasn't a coincidence, it was divine timing. St. Anthony moved through her humility and opened a door that had been closed for years. That's why it's so important you stay through every word of this prayer. There is something sacred unfolding right now. Miracles don't always scream. Sometimes they whisper. And if you leave too soon, you might miss the whisper meant just for you. Miraculous prayer to St. Anthony isn't just about a fix. It's about divine alignment, about you being in the right moment with the right faith and the right words. It's easy to believe when everything is going right, but when everything is falling apart, that's when belief becomes breakthrough. If you're drowning in financial pressure, say this prayer to St. Anthony for financial breakthrough with courage. Speak it like you already have the miracle. Because faith is not about what we see, it's about what we expect, and expectation moves heaven. People have testified of debts erased, job offers arriving out of nowhere, and even healing from illnesses after saying this urgent miracle prayer. And these aren't people with perfect pasts. They're people like you, imperfect, tired, but hungry for change. You don't have to have it all together to receive a miracle. You just have to show up with a heart willing to believe one is possible. St. Anthony doesn't just help find lost items, he helps find lost hope. He restores what time, fear, and regret have taken. If you're struggling to sleep because of anxiety, pray this healing prayer to St. Anthony tonight. Invite him into your thoughts. Let his peace quiet the chaos. Miracles often begin where anxiety ends. And peace is the soil where faith can grow again. You might be tempted to think, others get miracles, but not me. That's a lie. You are not disqualified from grace. There is no one too broken for God's mercy. This powerful prayer to Saint Anthony was made for people like you, real people with real problems and real faith. Don't measure your worthiness. Measure your willingness to believe again, even after all you've been through. Imagine this. What if the breakthrough you've been waiting for was just on the other side of consistency? What if saying this prayer for 7 days unlocked something 7 years in the making? The St. Anthony Novena is not a ritual, it's a relationship. Each day builds your faith. Each word reinforces your hope. Don't stop. Keep praying. Keep believing. There's a reason this video has reached you. Your spirit has been craving alignment, direction, a divine yes. And this impossible prayer that works may be the answer your heart has needed. Don't brush this off. Don't rush past it. Let each phrase settle in your soul. This isn't just noise, it's nourishment. Many have started praying with doubt, only to end in awe. Let your own story be added to the testimonies of miracles through this prayer to Saint Anthony for desperate cases. Because when Saint Anthony intercedes, heaven pays attention. And when heaven moves, nothing stays the same. You are being noticed. You are being lifted. So if you've ever wondered if God still answers, let this be your sign. Keep going. Don't look away. The miracle has already begun, and the next mystery will draw you even closer to it. The unseen hand that moves the impossible. There is a moment in every believer's journey when faith is tested beyond reason, when prayers go unanswered for months, even years, and it becomes hard to keep hoping. But those who persist know a secret. Miracles aren't always delayed, they're being prepared. When you pray the unfailing prayer to Saint Anthony, you're inviting divine timing into your situation, trusting that what you don't see is already being set in motion. Saint Anthony isn't just a helper, he's a divine connector, a vessel used by heaven to carry your request to the throne of God. His intercession is like spiritual acceleration. Doors that were shut for decades suddenly swing open. Lost opportunities return in better form. The impossible bows to the prayer that carries faith, humility, and trust. That's what makes the miraculous prayer to Saint Anthony so powerful. Someone once said, when Saint Anthony is involved, delay does not mean denial. And it's true. The problem isn't that your miracle is impossible, it's that your faith is being trained to hold it. Because when the prayer for desperate cases is answered, it doesn't just solve a problem, it transforms you. It shapes your character to receive something you never thought you'd handle. There was a young woman, overwhelmed with student debt and medical bills. She prayed this emergency prayer for financial help each morning and night. Weeks went by, nothing changed, but she didn't stop. And then it came, a job offer she never applied for, with a signing bonus large enough to wipe out her debt. It wasn't random, she said. It was St. Anthony. He remembered me. That's what happens when you pray in faith and don't give up. The heavens respond. St. Anthony becomes your intercessor, your advocate, your voice in the supernatural realm. If you've never experienced the shift that comes from a powerful Catholic miracle prayer, now is your moment. Speak it boldly, expectantly, because St. Anthony doesn't operate in doubt. He operates in trust. When you pray this miracle prayer today, you align yourself with a current of grace that's already flowing. Sometimes the miracle isn't the money or the healing, it's the strength to stand through the storm. And that strength, that inner peace, that's a miracle too. One that Saint Anthony can bring with just a whisper of his name on your lips. This isn't just a prayer, it's an act of spiritual warfare. You're claiming back what fear tried to steal. You're calling down provision, protection, and peace. When you say the prayer to Saint Anthony for financial breakthrough, you're not just asking for money, you're declaring your trust in a God who provides through his saints, who multiplies what you have and restores what you've lost. People often underestimate the reach of Saint Anthony's intercession, but the testimonies are undeniable. Marriages restored, addictions broken, jobs secured, homes saved, children healed. These aren't fairy tales, they're the fruit of faith and persistence. And the one common thread, a heart willing to trust again through the words of the prayer that works instantly. This is why you're here. You were led to this moment because Saint Anthony has a message for you. Don't give up. Heaven has not forgotten. Your needs, your deepest, quietest cries are heard. And when you say this prayer to Saint Anthony for family restoration, believe that healing has already begun. It's not about feelings, it's about faith. If your heart is heavy, lift it with this prayer. If your wallet is empty, fill it with praise. If your spirit is tired, recharge it with hope. That's the power of holy prayer for impossible requests. It doesn't rely on your circumstances, it transcends them. And in doing so, it begins to rewrite them one answered prayer at a time. Remember, the God who performed miracles in the Bible hasn't changed, and the saints who walked in his presence still move through his power. St. Anthony's intercession isn't folklore, it's faith in action. So when you say this prayer for urgent help, say it like someone who believes heaven is listening, because it is. This isn't about religion, it's about relationship. Between you and a saint who's walked this road before, a saint who has helped countless others find what they thought was gone forever. Jobs, joy, faith, peace. Don't be afraid to ask big, because our God is bigger. And Saint Anthony knows exactly how to deliver your request. So as you move to the next mystery, let your faith rise higher. Let your heart beat with expectation. Saint Anthony's hand is already reaching toward your situation, and something extraordinary is coming, the deeper surrender that unlocks divine response. There comes a time in every believer's journey where asking isn't enough. Surrender becomes necessary. Not because God needs us to give up, but because letting go makes room for the miracle. That's what this prayer to Saint Anthony teaches us, that the more we release, the more heaven responds. The miracle doesn't come from control, it comes from trust. Saint Anthony lived a life of complete surrender. He gave up comfort, position, even his own desires, and in return he walked in divine authority. Every answered prayer for desperate cases came not just from his words, but from his willingness to be used fully by God. That's why when we pray this powerful prayer to Saint Anthony, we're not just asking, we're offering ourselves to be changed too. Maybe you've tried everything already. Maybe you've recited prayers, fasted, cried, and now all you have left is surrender. Good. That's where miracles begin. The moment you say, "Lord, not my will, but yours," heaven leans in. That's when this holy prayer for impossible requests moves from ritual to transformation. Because full surrender is the language of miracles. One man had been struggling for years, emotionally and financially drained. He found this prayer to St. Anthony for financial breakthrough and decided to say it not just with his mouth, but with his life. He surrendered his bitterness, his fear, his tight grip on outcomes. And within days, opportunities appeared. Peace returned. Doors opened. Why? Because surrender unlocked what striving couldn't. This mystery is about the letting go of timelines, of how you thought God would do it, of needing to understand everything. When you say this urgent miracle prayer and truly mean it, you step out of anxiety and into alignment, and St. Anthony meets you there, not to watch from a distance, but to walk beside you. Think of your burden right now, that heavy thing on your chest. What if St. Anthony is asking you to hand it over, to trust that the answer is already on its way, even if you can't trace it yet? That's what this unfailing prayer to St. Anthony does. It builds your faith while heaven prepares the solution. The pressure isn't yours to carry. It never was. Some miracles don't come because we won't release the problem. But when you finally say, "I surrender this relationship, this debt, this illness," you free your hands to receive the blessing. That's what surrender looks like. Not defeat, but divine invitation. And St. Anthony knows how to deliver what your heart can't hold alone. There was a mother with 3 children and no income. She found this prayer for urgent help online and committed to praying it while fasting her worry. For 7 days, she released her fears. On the 8th day, she received an anonymous envelope in the mail, enough to cover rent and food for the month. That's not chance. That's grace. That's the fruit of surrender. You don't have to perform for heaven. You just have to show up with an open heart. Say this miracle prayer today like a child asking their father for help, without pretense, without pride, with honesty. That's the kind of prayer St. Anthony carries to the heart of God, the kind soaked in sincerity and wrapped in faith. The more you trust, the more peace will follow. You'll stop chasing the miracle and start attracting it. Your spirit will feel lighter. The burden will begin to shift. Why? Because prayer to St. Anthony for family restoration isn't just about others being healed. It's about you being made whole in the process too. You may not see it yet, but something sacred is already happening. The moment you choose surrender over control, heaven starts moving, and it doesn't take years. Sometimes all it takes is one sincere act of faith, a moment where you say, "God, I'm yours. Do what only you can." St. Anthony hears that, and he responds. This surrender isn't passive, it's powerful. It's what transforms prayers from hopes into realities. And when you align yourself with that posture, you begin to see life differently. Every closed door becomes a redirection. Every delay becomes preparation. That's the miracle hidden inside surrender, perspective. And here's the truth. When you give God permission to move, He often does so in ways that leave you speechless. St. Anthony's miracles don't just fix things. They reshape your story. They turn fear into faith, lack into provision, and pain into testimony. That's what this Catholic prayer for miracles is awakening in you now. So, let go. Breathe deeper. Speak the words with your whole heart. Because as you enter the next mystery, you'll begin to realize that surrender was never the end of your story. It's the beginning of something divine. The moment you believe, where miracles become reality, there comes a moment, a quiet, sacred moment, where everything shifts. Not because your situation suddenly changed, but because your heart did. That's the power of this final step. When you pray the most powerful prayer to St. Anthony with complete confidence, something in the atmosphere breaks open. It's no longer about asking, it's about expecting. Faith isn't loud. It doesn't always shout. Sometimes it just whispers, "I know it's done." That's what prayer that works instantly teaches us, that miracles begin when we stop begging and start believing, when we step into prayer as if the answer is already here, as if the healing has already begun, as if St. Anthony has already whispered your name before the throne of God. You might be thinking, "But I've prayed before, and nothing happened." That's okay. Many people in the Bible prayed again and again before seeing a miracle. The key wasn't their strength, it was their persistence. And that's what this prayer to St. Anthony for urgent help reminds you. Don't stop 5 minutes before your breakthrough. St. Anthony responds to the language of faith. He's not looking for perfection, just trust. Whether you're crying out for a child, a job, or peace of mind, this impossible prayer that works carries a divine weight, because it's spoken with assurance, not based on how you feel, but based on who you're talking to. And that changes everything. A woman once prayed this miraculous prayer to St. Anthony for her son, lost in addiction. Everyone else gave up, but she didn't. Every night she prayed with faith, even when her heart was breaking. 6 months later, her son walked into a rehab center. Today, he helps others find healing. That's the power of one prayer. One decision to believe. Faith is a magnet for miracles. And when it's paired with this Catholic prayer for miracles, the results are undeniable. People are healed, families are restored, finances are multiplied, not because of who we are, but because of who God is, and how St. Anthony brings our cries to his feet. That's why you feel this stirring now. That pull in your chest, that's faith rising. You were born to believe, built to hope, designed to walk in miracles. Don't let past disappointments mute your current expectation. St. Anthony isn't bound by your history. He moves through your present faith. When you pray this prayer to St. Anthony for financial breakthrough, do it like the answer is already knocking at your door. Even now, heaven is aligning things behind the scenes. Conversations are shifting, decisions are changing, provision is being released. Because this isn't just another prayer, it's a divine appointment. the kind that changes not just situations but generations. Speak this healing prayer to Saint Anthony like legacy depends on it, because it just might. And when doubt creeps in, speak louder. Faith isn't the absence of fear, it's action in spite of it. Say it anyway. Believe anyway. Saint Anthony doesn't require flawless confidence. He just needs your heart to lean in. That's what unlocks the power of prayer for desperate cases. That one moment where your spirit says, I believe, even now. This isn't about emotional hype. It's about spiritual alignment. Real miracles happen quietly, suddenly, in ways no one can explain. One message, one transaction, one test result, one unexpected phone call. That's how the miracle prayer today often arrives, gently but powerfully. With Saint Anthony standing beside it, unseen but present. This is where your posture changes. You're not begging anymore. You're thanking in advance. That's a higher frequency. That's the vibration of heaven. Begin to declare it. Thank you, Saint Anthony, for what is already done. Gratitude is prophetic. It pulls tomorrow's miracles into today's reality. Faith doesn't wait to celebrate. It sings in the storm. And that's your invitation now. Let your heart rejoice, not because the bank account changed or the diagnosis reversed, but because you trust the one who can do both. That's what unfailing prayer to Saint Anthony does. It roots you in unshakable hope. And maybe, just maybe, this entire journey led you here for this one realization. You're not alone. You never were. Saint Anthony has walked beside you, even in your silence. And now, through this prayer to find lost things, whether it's hope, peace, joy, or your true self, he will help you recover what was never meant to be gone. So lift your hands, lift your heart, and say it again. Saint Anthony, I believe. Speak it until your words shake the heavens, until fear leaves, until breakthrough becomes your reality. This isn't the end of your prayer life. It's just the beginning of walking daily in the miraculous. Because when you trust like this, fully, deeply, joyfully, miracles don't just happen around you, they happen through you. And what comes next will exceed everything you've ever hoped for. Final blessing. May the peace of Saint Anthony, the humble servant of God, rest upon your heart tonight. May every anxious thought be replaced by holy confidence. Let the burdens you carried into this prayer dissolve in the presence of divine intervention. You are not forgotten. You are deeply seen and profoundly loved. May this moment mark the beginning of a new season in your life. A season where doors open and prayers are answered in surprising ways. Where broken things are restored and what was lost is returned in greater measure. Saint Anthony walks with you now. His intercession is covering your every step. Let the faith stirred within you today take root and grow. May it bloom into a confidence that nothing can shake. May your family be blessed, your health be renewed, your finances stabilized, and your heart filled with joy. You have prayed. Now walk like the miracle is already here. May Saint Anthony guide you to places you never imagined. May he show you favor before people you've never met. Let unexpected provision chase you down. Let healing flow into your body, mind, and spirit. May every no from the past turn into a divine yes ahead. Receive the grace to forgive, to release, and to trust. May you sleep tonight with the assurance that heaven is moving, that Saint Anthony is working behind the scenes for your good. Even in silence, God is not still. He's orchestrating miracles right now. May you never again speak like someone without hope. Let your words align with faith, not fear. May your declarations carry weight, shaping your tomorrow. You've touched heaven with your voice. Now let heaven touch your life. Believe, expect, rejoice. May your hands be strengthened to build again. Dreams, relationships, purpose. What fell apart can come together stronger. Saint Anthony is with you. His miracles don't leave you the same. They elevate you. You will rise from this prayer with power. May your eyes be opened to divine signs, to nudges, whispers, encounters. May you recognize the supernatural in the ordinary, and may this awareness guide your decisions and strengthen your discernment. You will not miss what God has prepared. May you become a vessel of miracles for others. Just as Saint Anthony interceded for you, may your story inspire faith in someone else. Let your testimony be a light. May others look at your life and say, surely God is real. Your miracle is not just for you, it's a message. May this prayer continue working in your life long after this video ends. Let it echo in your days, calm your nights, and shape your future. May you return here not to plead, but to give thanks for the breakthroughs that have already begun. Receive the courage to walk in boldness. You are chosen, anointed, and covered. Nothing will stand in the way of what God has ordained. Saint Anthony has heard, heaven has moved. And now it's your turn as to believe and live like it. And as you go forward, may you carry this blessing everywhere you walk, into your home, your job, your conversations. May others feel the residue of this prayer on you, because when you pray with faith, you don't just change your life, you change the atmosphere around you. What if today was the beginning of your new story? What if this prayer was the turning point you've been waiting for? What if everything you thought was lost was already on its way back? Can you feel it? Something has shifted. Something divine has begun. After this prayer, you will never be the same again. If this prayer touched your soul, don't keep it to yourself. Like, comment, and share it now. Someone you love might be waiting for this exact blessing. Be the channel God uses to deliver a miracle into someone else's life. Type Amen in the comments to seal your faith and declare your miracle in motion. Subscribe to this channel for more prayers like this. Real, raw, and full of power. Join this family of believers where faith comes alive and miracles are celebrated. Let Saint Anthony's blessings continue to flow into your life through each new video. Don't miss what heaven is pouring out. Stay connected. Share this prayer with someone facing a battle, with someone waiting for hope, with someone who feels forgotten. Be the hand that lifts them up. Be the voice that reminds them miracles still happen, and sometimes they come through a video just like this one. Write the name of someone who needs a miracle in the comments. Join the community of intercession. Let's lift each other up, Because we are not alone in this. Saint Anthony walks with us, and together we rise.